Morning, everybody. Just going to give it a couple more minutes before we start going here. Still have some people joining.
Projects.
All right, Dan, it's 9. Do we want to get started? We have 16 folks on it, looks like.
Yeah, I'm trying to see of those who we have for quorum. Let me just do a quick count here, Jeff.
Okay.
I believe we do have just enough for a quorum, so we can go ahead and get started. I'll do a roll call here. And sorry, getting a chat. The joys of multitasking. Okay. And Jackie, if you wouldn't mind recording right now, if you can hear me. Just wait to see. There we go. Okay. I'm just going to read through the roster, take roll. So starting from the top, Kevin Berry, NDOT. Tara Smaltz, NDOT.
Present.
Kurt Dietrich.
Present.
Jeff Borkart.
Here.
Amber Sosa. I believe Amber had a conflict this morning, so she won't be here. Ian Crittenden.
Present.
Mitchell Fink. No Mitch, okay. Julie Olander. Okay. Daniel Inouye.
Here.
Chris Tolley.
Present.
Elaine Wiseman. Sandy Friend. Sandy, are you on?
I'm on, yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry.
Thank you. No worries. Lissa Butterfield.
Good morning, I'm on.
Okay, thanks. And Enos Han.
Here.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. Just for the record, I will also read in who we have for RTC staff, starting with myself, Dan Denges, Jacqueline Maldonado, Amy Cummings, Dale Keller, James Weston, Jennifer Myers, Mark Maloney, Rebecca Capular, Xuan Wang, and I see somebody is joined on an engineering's iPad. Can you please identify yourself?
Yeah, that's Scott.
Scott, thank you. Did I miss anyone? Okay, hearing none. If you'd like to call the meeting to order, that'd be great.
Perfect. Good morning, everybody. It is December 3rd at 9:03. I'll call the meeting to order and let's get started. We'll move into item number 1, which is approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion for the approval of the agenda?
Slide to RPA, so moved.
All right, got a motion from Chris Tolley. Can I get a second, please?
Ian Crittenden, second.
And a second from Ian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
All right. No one opposed? All right, let's move forward. Item number 2, public comment. Dan, do we have any public comment?
We did not receive any public comment.
Perfect. We'll move on to item number 3, the approval of the November 5th, 2020 meeting minutes. May I have a motion?
Actually, Kurt Dietrich, City of Reno. I just have one correction. As far as attendees, I'm with City of Reno Public Works rather than Community Development.
Perfect. Thanks, Kurt. Anybody else have any questions or comments before we get a motion? All right. Seeing and hearing none, can I get a motion?
Chris Tully, Team RPA, move to approve with the changes I identified by Kurt.
All right, we have a motion from Chris Tully. Can I please have a second?
Ian Crittenden, second.
And a second from Ian. All those in favor of the approval of the minutes with the changes, say aye.
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 Perfect. And I'll abstain because I was absent. Anybody opposed? Perfect. None. We will move on to item number 4, which is acknowledge receipt of a report on the 2050 Regional Transportation Plan and to provide input. It looks like Amy has a presentation she's pulling up here.
Thank you very much. Amy Cummings with RTC. And today we have an update for you on the transit vision component for the Regional Transportation Plan. We also have the preliminary analysis of some of the roadway projects that's going to be going out for survey. So we'll start with transit and then shift gears and talk about roadways. I do want to continue to emphasize that on the roadway analysis, we don't have the survey from the public out yet. That's going to be hopefully launching in the next week or so. So we don't have complete scoring. These results are going to change, but wanted to to have an opportunity for your input at this early stage. But first off, starting with transit.
Amy, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I don't see anything on the screen. I see that you're sharing your screen, but I don't know if that's anyone else is having that issue.
Let's try that again.
There we go.
Perfect. Thanks for letting me know. So for the transit system, we want a productive, meaning the most passengers per service hour that we can achieve, cost-effective and high-quality transit service. And a big part of that high quality means on-time performance and a positive customer experience. And we know we're focusing right now in particular on workforce mobility. We're getting our essential employees in our community to work to those essential jobs and services. But moving forward over the next coming years, we do want to continue to serve that need, attract new riders, be as innovative as we can, and continue to. In terms of ride service, this is the backbone of our system, and it's where the majority of our trips do occur. We, and you'll see this in many of the other services we're going to talk about too. Right now, we're providing the most service we can for the limited funding that's available. So any expansions are going to be contingent on us receiving additional revenue, whether that's through growth in the sales tax as our economy recovers from the COVID pandemic, or new funding sources that may become available over the coming years. So if funding does become available, we want to really focus on increasing our ridership, and we know the best way to do that is to increase the frequency of service and the span of service, or the hours of operation on our core routes in the urban area. In instances where we want to be able to serve new areas, the more outlying suburban areas, we feel that FlexRide is the best way to do that compared to fixed route. And we've seen that in our demonstration projects with Sparks, Spanish Springs, and North Valleys in particular. We've seen that in these more low density areas, people are much more likely to dial a ride using your phone or an app to have a FlexRide vehicle come and pick them up in front of their building, as opposed to having to walk a long distance to a bus stop. But again, we do have our current pilot areas out there now, and this time we don't have the revenue to expand that. We want to continue to look at the future of our rapid transit service. This is our premier service. Every 10 minutes, about a quarter of our trips happen on the Lincoln line and the Virginia line. So we know that this is the future of our system, and we do want to have this visionary component to our plan. So looking ahead, when funding becomes available, we see the Lincoln line and Virginia line as great opportunities to expand, to really work with the local land use planning and our community and development planning, so that we're going to attract people to these TOD corridors and support that urbanization in the core of our community, and serve that with rapid transit service. We have maintenance needs that we're going to be working on. The Spaghetti Bowl project does include, and again, it's many years out, but we want to start thinking about it now, relocation of the Villanova maintenance facility. We also have some potentially near-term needs to expand Sutro, where we have our paratransit operations currently based in, and we want to look at opportunities to increase our zero emission fueling capabilities. One project in the near term that's in the early stages of development is expanding 4th Street Station. We're looking at the parcel immediately to the south of 4th Street Station and see that as a great opportunity to add 4 more bus bays and additional electric chargers and some parking, which would give us greater flexibility in our operations. Right now, we just have the 2 electric chargers downtown at 4th Street Station, and with a third of our fleet being electric, it would be a big help to us to have more electric chargers down there. The Pepper Mill Station, this is one, it's the highest ridership stop in our system, and it's one of our tiny, just little regular size shelters. So we want to upgrade that to full rapid standards, ADA accessibility with enough seating and next bus information. And as you may remember from our affordable housing study, we did identify the potential for a joint development for affordable housing, potentially adjacent to this site. Our bus stop accessibility project is another effort that's underway. It's funded for the next few years. We are going to anticipate funding this for the life of the RTP. We have, we're working on the current 100 worst of our stations, and that means the greatest ADA deficiency with the highest demand for ridership. And our ADA transition plan identified the next 300. So we know that's going to take some time to work through, but we want to make sure that that is absolutely front and center to our ADA priorities in the plan. And lastly, on the transit side, we've heard through our outreach process the need for to look at more parking in downtown Sparks as well as downtown Reno. So we're looking at the mobility hub concept that would include parking for cars, bike parking, access to ride and rapid, parking for our van pool program, and for employer shuttles. So we're anticipating that may be a future planning study to get into more detail. We don't have sites identified in the RTP, but that we want that concept to be on the priority list. And we also want to still continue to look at opportunities. We have heard from Meadowood Mall that they're interested in us relocating to another area of the mall, potentially closer to the TMCC campus, which would have some benefits for us as well. So that brings us to the end of the transit part of the discussion. So I want to pause and see what comments or questions or suggestions members of the committee have for staff.
Hey, Amy, this is Dan. I'm sorry to interrupt again. I just wanted to, for the record, note that it looks like Elaine Wiseman with the Reno Sparks Indian Colony has joined, as well as Adam Spear and Stephanie Haddock with RTC. So just wanted to point that out for the minutes. I do see a phone number. Elaine, maybe this is you. It's a 276-2745.
That's Mike Michelle,
no,
City of
that's
Reno.
Not me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mike Michelle, City of Reno. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. Does anybody Does anybody have any comments on this portion of the of Amy's presentation?
Hi, yeah, this is Sandy Freund. I have a quick question, Amy, or anybody. Are there any bike shelters recommended or proposed for any of these, main bus stop areas for commuters?
We don't have any covered bike parking, if that's kind of what you have. Is that what you have in mind?
Yeah, yeah, the big bike lockers, shelters.
No, we don't have bike lockers identified at this time.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Chris Tully, Team RPA. I had one question. This comes from one of the policies in the regional plan that deals with conformance for the RTP. And one component of that is utilizing the local master plans. So my question is essentially, to what degree have the transit system priorities been reviewed with the local agencies in regard to those master plans?
Well, I think those discussions are happening through the agency working group and through this committee. That's really the vehicle that we have intended to have those conversations. You're not seeing a major change to the fixed route network as part of this plan. We are going to be updating our short range transit plan next year. It's a plan detail, the route by route, stop by stop, specificity and hours of operation and frequency for each route. So that is another effort that the jurisdictions have been involved with in all of our previous updates. And we're anticipating will be involved in our current update as well. That's going to happen next year.
Thank you.
And Chris, just anecdotally, since a lot of projects that Amy mentioned are in the city of Reno, in those small working groups, for example, the downtown circulation, that is been informed quite a bit from our master plan, which our downtown action plan has a significant list of potential transportation. In addition to that, the BRT extension down on South Virginia matches up with our suburban mixed use land use designations, and then the tiers that are in the regional plan as well. So I think we are working directly to try to match up with the regional form and the regional plan.
Great, thank you.
Amy, to address Sandy's point, I think when we originally talked about this mobility hub concept, we talked not only about parking, but actually including maybe some bike lockers at these locations. And maybe I'm recalling it wrong, or I dreamt about it, but I think if we were going to look at key locations, oh, you do mention that, would include parking, bike parking. There you go. Never mind. I answered my own question. Thank you.
Thanks.
This is Dan again. One more note. I want to recognize that Julie Olander also joined the meeting with Washoe County. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Do we have any other questions before we let Amy move on? Perfect. Thanks. Take it away, Amy.
All right. Well, continuing on with our analysis of the roadway projects. And we have about 200 projects that have been identified for us to take a look at. So we've been working on a way to make that something that the public can respond to in an effective way that's easy to understand. So we're working on a survey vehicle to do that, an online survey, since we can't have our traditional in-person big public workshop, which is what we would normally like to do. So we'll be having a virtual public meeting with an online survey. So in an effort to let people look at these projects and really kind of get into the nuances of them, we want to be able to let people see them in an apples to apples sort of comparison. So we're going to separate them out and basically have 4 separate surveys or pages of our survey. One to focus on freeways, one that's going to be new road construction, one for capacity projects on existing roads, and one for the multimodal projects that don't add road capacity. So I think that will make it, it's a lot easier to look at 30 projects at a time instead of 200 when you're doing a survey of this type. So we're going to kind of walk through what those are going to look like. And this committee has seen our evaluation criteria. We appreciate the tremendous effort of TMRPA to provide the population and employment forecast for 2050 based on the consensus forecast. So that's the new information that we've been able to add to this analysis over the last couple of weeks. And so we'll show you what we have right now, but I do want to highlight that public and agency input, we're going to be doing a survey that goes to all of you as well, hopefully again in the next couple of weeks or so. So we're going to want to incorporate that. That will change the scoring, but we wanted to share with you, kind of how the evaluation criteria that you're all familiar with has come out. So for all the projects, all project types, we're looking at safety, traffic volumes and congestion, project readiness, how it fits with the regional plan land use priorities, is there private or other agency funding that could be brought to the project, equity, and as I mentioned, the public and agency input is not included in what you're going to see this morning. But it will be before we bring it back, hopefully in January with a draft project listing. So for projects that are on existing roads, we do have additional information. So that's the score from our bicycle and pedestrian master plan, the pavement condition index, and whether that project links to a flood mitigation effort. For projects that are new road construction, we don't have any of those that are identified with flood mitigation components, and we don't have the other data available, but we are going to look at the cost per average daily traffic and emergency response and fire evacuation. Truckee Meadows Fire has brought that up as a key priority that they would like us to take a look at. So those are, we do have slightly different criteria for the existing roads compared to new roads. So we'll start with multimodal, just to give you a sense of, based on those criteria, again, not including public comment, which hasn't occurred yet, and the agency input results. For the multimodal projects, I don't think there'll be any great surprises to folks in the meeting today. That Center Street, West 4th, Rock Boulevard, Keystone Avenue, Vassar Street, Oddie Wells, and East 6th Street are some of the ones that fall, kind of rise to the top of the ones that you see on this map. And the way you'll see these presented in the RTP isn't a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ranking. It's going to be packaged based on the work we're going to do with our fiscal constraint and the revenue forecast. How many projects can we deliver in the first 5 years? How many in the second 5 years of the plan? And then what's going to be in the out years of the plan? So what you're seeing on these lists today are probably the projects that are going to be in that first, potentially will be in the first 5 years of the plan. So those are multimodal, again, no new street capacity. When you start looking at the new roadway capacity, again, I don't think you're going to be too surprised by the results that we're seeing. And all of these will have multimodal components as well, but they do have new lanes for auto traffic. So Sparks Boulevard, Pyramid Highway, Lemon Drive, Sky Vista, North Virginia, and South Virginia, and this is that section that came up in the South Meadows study where cars are backing up from the off-ramp near Patriot Boulevard. So this is an additional northbound lane on South Virginia so that queuing doesn't occur on the freeway. Several improvements on McCarran Boulevard. We are going to be doing a corridor study focused just on McCarran next year. So we want to have some general information here, but we know that's going to be refined. We may need to do an update to the plan following that study. And then the one new project that really kind of rose to the top here is Golden Valley 7th Avenue. And again, this is not to say that other projects won't be included, but these are the ones that kind of rose to the top as being in those near-term years. And freeway projects, again, not too many surprises here. Spaghetti Bowl, and the Spaghetti Bowl is more than just the Spaghetti Bowl Express project that's under construction right now. It does extend to McCarran on the east, and down to Plum Lane to the south and to the west as well. So that larger Spaghetti Bowl project is still the place where we have the greatest congestion, the greatest number of crashes. 395 North is right behind it. And then we have the additional I-80 capacity projects, McCarran to Vista, and then on the west side, McCarran to Keystone. And finally, the new road construction. And we had a number of projects to look at, and you can see from this map, the majority of it is north of I-80, with a few exceptions. So here, not too surprising that the Pyramid 395 connector, which is this new roadway that would go between Pyramid Highway and US 395 across the southern end of Sun Valley, by far, carries more cars than any of these other suggested projects, or a magnitude of 60,000 cars a day or more. Everything else is, in the 20,000 or primarily 20,000 cars or less. So the travel benefit of the Pyramid 395 connector was really affirmed through this analysis that we have conducted. Some of the others that also showed that we would have great travel demand for would be the extension of 9th Street to Wells Avenue. That came out of the university area study. The West Sun Valley Arterial, which is currently in the Regional Transportation Plan, and that's this sort of western connection around Sun Valley. The Eagle Canyon Extension, which we have a study underway for right now. The Moya Boulevard Extension, and this is the piece up the west side of the Stead Airport. And that's one I know the airport has been looking at closely. And this is States Drive construction, which is currently unpaved. There are others on here, and again, with the as I said before, just because I'm not listing something here doesn't mean it won't be included in the plan. It just is less likely to be in the early years of the plan. So that concludes the summary of where we are on the roadway project analysis. And again, I look forward to any comments or questions that you have. And if you would like to sit down with us one-on-one to go through these in more detail, we're absolutely happy to do that.
Thank you so much, Amy. Does anybody have any additional comments or questions specifically on the latter half on road projects?
And I did get a comment in the chat about when will the survey be available, and we are working on that right now. We're going to film the virtual public meeting this week and next week, so we're probably a week or two out from having that live, but we'll make sure it gets to everybody on this committee when it's available.
Perfect, thank you. And I will give you a compliment on the virtual presentation. I thought that was extremely well done on the one that you guys did on the downtown circulation study. It was easily shared and you could watch it at any time, which was, I think, extremely convenient. So keep it up. So I think we can move on. Actually, we should probably get a motion to acknowledge receipt of the report. Can I get a motion?
Hearing none. Chris Tolley, Team RPA, so moved.
Thanks, Chris. And Kurt with the second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, perfect. We'll move on to item number 5, which is development updates. Does anybody want to start us off with development updates? All right, well, I guess I can. So the only development update that I have in terms of large developments is the Santerre Quillisi project will likely be going to our planning commission sometime this month. That is the very large project that is on the south side of I-80. South, it's the remainder of the Mortons and Garson plan, essentially. So that will have a large impact, probably built out over numerous years. That's the only development project I think that I have of note at this moment.
This is Julie Olander with Washoe County. We have a small one, 111 units going in out of Cold Springs. That's going to Planning Commission in January.
Anybody else? Perfect. Well, we can move on to item number 6, which is member items. So I'll start out just as an informational member item, and then I can turn it over to Kurt. But we are nearing completion of our zoning code update, which is a huge feat for us. We comprehensively redid our entire zoning code. We are looking at going to our initial public hearing on December 9th with final adoption on January 13th. It is a very exciting time for us, and I think it'll bring about a lot of the change that we planned for in our master plan. So we're very excited. Kurt, did you have anything?
Just a very minor update from traffic engineering. So we're working with RTC staff to finish up the South Virginia corridor for traffic signal timing. And right now we're looking at fine-tuning the weekend patterns. And then we're just moving on to Plum Lane signal timing from there. So just minor update for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kurt. We will move over to the Airport Authority. Do you guys have any updates for us?
Hi, this is Alyssa Butterfield from the Airport Authority. No, I don't have any new updates for this month. Thank you.
Thank you. In the City of Sparks?
No updates.
Thank you, Ian. FHWA?
I don't have any updates at this time either. Thanks.
Yes. Washoe County, I didn't see Mitch
Yeah,
on.
Mitch isn't on. I'm just Julie Olander, but I don't believe there are any updates either.
Perfect, thank you. And air quality?
Good morning, this is Dan. No updates this month, thank you.
Thanks, Dan. NDOT?
Good morning. This is Tara Smaltz. No updates.
Thank you, Tara. And Chris, do you guys, does Regional have anything?
Crystal RTC, no updates this month. Thank you.
Perfect. Sandy, does the school district have anything?
Hi, good morning, Sandy. No updates right now. Thanks.
Perfect. And Reno Sparks Indian Colony, do you guys have anything?
Good morning. This is Elaine Wiseman. No updates for the colony. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. All right, perfect. So that concludes our member items. We'll move on to item number 7, which is agenda items for future TAC meetings. Does anybody here have any potential suggestions for future agenda items? No? Dan, do we have any upcoming ones that you know of?
Not that I know of. We did have a couple discussions last night at the Citizens Multimodal Advisory Committee. So I'm thinking we might bring an update on our travel demand model. So probably look out for that one in the future.
Perfect. Thanks. Since there's none that are going to be added, I don't know that we really need to take an action on this item. So we can move on to item number 8, which is RTC staff items. Dan, go ahead.
Thank you, Jeff. I do not have anything at this time, and I would defer to any of my RTC colleagues on the call if they have anything to add.
Hi, Dan. It's Jennifer. This is Jennifer Myers, Public Transportation Contract Administrator. I just want to thank you all for your participation in the update of RTC's Coordinated Transportation Plan. We received 2 public comments, and that was regarding the draft final report. And we will be taking that report to the board on December 18th. So again, thank you all for your involvement in the process. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Anybody else from RTC? Wonderful. So we'll move on to item 9. Dan, did any public comment come in during the meeting?
We did not receive any additional comment.
Perfect. So we'll move on to item number 10, which is adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
It's Julie Olander. I move to adjourn.
Perfect. And a second?
Crystal RTC, second. Ha.
Chris, I think, got in there a little bit before. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody. You have a great day and happy holidays, and I'll see everyone come the new year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will note
Bye-bye.
that
Thank you all.
the meeting adjourned at 9:34.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks.
Bye.